your boy, Derek Rose. It's like the first one that comes to mind when I think of nutrition. Yeah, there's this Derek Rose like fan made documentary on YouTube I watched years ago, and I never forgot this because it was following him through like his MVP run, and the Bulls are like on this amazing run, and the cameras are walking through his house, and he shows his Skittles machine, and he's just got this like big ass candy machine. This guy was just snacking on candy like all day long, and they got into the playoffs, and he tore his ACL, and he had a lot of trouble recovering from that. And every time, whenever I think of that, and when I saw that, I immediately thought back to this conversation I had with, the old Italian pro trainer. You guys will remember this, Simon. One day, he gave me this really simple explanation. He's like, your cells are turning over constantly. You basically, on a cellular level, you have like a new body constantly. It's constantly regenerating itself. The building blocks it regenerates itself with is the food you eat, among other things, but that's a major piece. So on a literal level, you become what you're eating. And if you're eating candy and Skittles all day, how well are your knees and like tendons and ligaments gonna regenerate? Probably have a harder time, right? And I thought to Derek Rose, I'm like, damn, you probably should have just gotten a nutritionist. Like it could have really helped. So it's super important, and unfortunately, I mean, the like Western American SAD diet is such a far cry. Basically, the authorities in the nutrition space, it's better today, but in terms of the general public, it's pretty bad. Like I had a basketball coach who convinced our team when we were kids that we had to eat a big bowl of pasta with sauce and like just a tiny bit of meat before games, because he said like you'd carb load, right? Anybody have coaches say shit like this? It's just like, it's wild, right? It's like you just don't know what you're talking about. You're telling kids to do this. Nutrition is a deep topic. And I think the topic actually goes much deeper than most think. And we won't go too deep, but it goes deeper because there are as many right approaches to nutrition as there are individuals in the world. Everybody's body's unique. And I don't mean like totally alternate. There are principles that apply, but learning your own body on a moment-to-moment basis, like staying in tune with it, as we were saying, Andy, that's the most important point. Learning to be intuitive with what your body needs in the moment. So starting rules that have worked really well for me, at least 12, often as much as 14 hours fasted per day. So it's not like a hardcore fast. It's not even all the way, I don't know if that would be considered even intermittent fasting at that point. Maybe it would, a light version of it. But from the research that I've heard of and looked at, beyond about 14 hours gets diminishing returns over time. Again, I could be wrong on that, but that's what I'm gleaning. And fasting was a really big fad for a while, but they started to realize the cellular autophagy benefits and things like this were like negligible next to even something like exercise. So one thing I do recommend, again, about half the day, don't be consuming things. So if you go to bed, I don't know, what time do people go to bed? 10, 11, 12? If you're going to bed at that time, let's say 10, and you're eating hopefully by about 7, so at least 2, hopefully 3 hours before you go to sleep would be ideal to not affect your sleep. If your last meal's at 7 and you put the fork down by, let's say 7:30, you're not eating again until at least 7:30 the following day. So there's at least 12 hours, ideally even 14 hours, so maybe it would be 9:30. Does that make sense? That's going to give your digestion a chance to just fully process, hopefully, in some cases. Yeah.
When you said more is like bad, not bad, but like has negative results? More than 40 hours?
No, not necessarily. Just in general, 12 to 14 is 12 to 14 is good in most cases for most people. And you can see how you feel, right? Like close the eating window down to even 6 hours or 8 hours and see how you feel. For me, I get too skinny, but others may like really feel great on that. I've heard even like 1 meal a day. I tried that for a while, it just wasn't enough. And then I'd have to eat like a ton of food and then I'd go to bed with like bloated stomach and it just didn't work. But others have had really good results. So again, learn your body, but in most cases, for most people, 12 to 14 is about right. The only thing you want to avoid is like a snack before bed and then you're eating breakfast right when you wake up. And then the, fasting window is like 8 hours. That's not ideal. That's what you want to definitely stay away from. Make sense? Soon as you wake up, we all do this, but warm water with either Celtic sea salt or electrolytes, ideally not cold water. The way that I do it is half cold water in this bottle and half hot water. And it comes out to like just above warm. It's like maybe even a tiny bit hot, but not quite. And I drink that within the first like 15 minutes of waking up. And then I put a little bit of Celtic sea salt just for minerals, but I've been using here like a form of electrolytes instead. Either one works. Lemon in that water is optional. A little bit of apple cider vinegar in that water is optional. Play with those, see how they feel. If you're having digestive stuff, that can help kind of kickstart digestion. It can also wake you up a little bit. That could be useful. But again, it's not like having a coffee. It's just a sort of gentle, that's pretty much, so 12 to 14, warm water, no water with meals if you can avoid it. Stop drinking water at least 15 minutes before your meal. Fluid's going to dilute hydrochloric acid and disturb digestion. You can have little sips, like that's fine. And if you're really thirsty, that's a sign your body's giving you, so follow that. But having a whole bunch of fluid, a whole bunch of water as you're eating is, you can just picture in your stomach what's going on, right? There's like all this food and all this fluid at once. It's not optimal for digestion, so about 15 minutes before is the general recommendation.
The warm water with lemon and Celtic sea salt, do we have to do it immediately after we wake up, or can we just do it after practice?
I would do it before practice for sure, 100%. What? Just go pee before. Yeah, because your brain gets dehydrated overnight. The whole body gets dehydrated, so absolutely drink water before practice. If it's too much water, then just a cup even. But
it doesn't have to be 1 liter.
No, it doesn't have to be a liter. For me, I think this is like 750, something like that. That's what I do. It could be 500 mils. Just see what works, but like get some water for sure. Yeah. So far, so good. Yeah.
What are your opinions on? I think it's called I don't know if this is a mineral, but like I don't even know how to say it. Shilajit.
Shilajit? 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 It's gross. Super gross. Have you tried it?
No.
Yeah, it was so gross I'm pretty good with like stuff that doesn't taste good, but that was over the line for me. I don't know, maybe for others it's not, just my personal taste. I was like, whoa, I can't do that. And it just made me feel a little weird. I know others have, it's really concentrated minerals, right? Essentially.
It's super, super, super concentrated. So if you want a diluted taste, I can give you it before dinner. I have trace minerals, which is a concentrated form of minerals, but it's not nearly as concentrated as Shilajit. And if you have a little bit of these trace minerals, you'll be like, ugh. And Shilajit is like that times 10.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hectic. You could try it though. Yeah, some people like it. They might have even like capsules or something. I don't know. I don't know if that would disturb the delivery mechanism or what.
I believe they have capsules.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about supplements at the end if you want. Yeah, you want to? Um, so, final starting rule, single ingredient foods most of the time. Chicken, single ingredient food. Again, not single ingredient meals, but single ingredient foods that compose the meal. So that meal that Sean just made, each of those vegetables was one ingredient, chicken, one ingredient, rice, one ingredient. You see, it wasn't like pasta or bread, for example, which is a blend of ingredients. Not that you can't have those. I actually personally do from time to time. I like it, but I get it from a really good source. So like, one of my favorite meals recently back home has been a quinoa penne pasta. So the ingredients are really, it's like quinoa and rice, I think, that they made the pasta out of, and that's it. And then Primal Kitchen marinara sauce and ground turkey. And it's so good. Like, this is like an Adam Folker meal, actually. That's so good. So the pasta is not single ingredient, but it's simple. It's close enough for me, and I'll have it maybe once a week. I'll still have some like gluten-free bread as well from time to time. That's fine. Most of the time though, single ingredient, ideally organic if you can, especially fruits and vegetables with a thin skin. You want to make sure those are organic. Coffee for sure organic, free range, all of that. If you're eating beef, grass-fed, just make sure that you're eating foods that themselves are healthy. Yeah, like healthy animals, vegetables and fruits that aren't rotten, that aren't sprayed with pesticides, that actually have some like life in them. Because again, you're like becoming what you eat. Cool. As far as what not to eat, which is equally as, or maybe even more important than what you do eat. Biggest one is pork. I've said this so many times, I know everybody here knows. Does anybody still eat pork?
Every once in a while.
Slip up.
I'll have some bacon.
Yeah.
Folded.
Scared. I thought people would just be scared to tell me.
Back into the red. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
folded like 9 months strong, and then I.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well,
That's
I'm
my
a
pizza.
bacon piece.
That's my
Yeah.
pizza after.
Probably like less than 15, but definitely.
That's not bad.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, pork is a weird one for me because I've never heard a quote unquote scientific explanation for this. But I know, you know, throughout pretty much every spiritual tradition, even religious traditions, they speak about no pork. And I always thought that was just like nonsense. And then my South American teacher said something. He's like, pigs steal your medicine. That's what he told me. It's like, okay, well, that's scientific. But I've told this story many times about how I had this like miraculous retreat and then had this business breakfast a day later. It was full of creative energy, feeling so good. Or actually, sorry, it was a week later. Went to this business breakfast and ate bacon. And within an hour, all that energy was gone and never came back. It was like, it was such a, I don't know, it was like making 100K and then accidentally setting it on fire. It's like, shit. It really sucked. So I haven't eaten it since. That was 2017, I believe. And that's been true for a lot of people that I know. Pork is just a huge no-go. And tilapia is another one. Tilapia is another one. Tilapia, if you ask Sean about tilapia, you'll get him going. You'll get him going. I believe they actually feed factory farm tilapia. They feed it pig feces.
Oh.
Yeah, if you want to get freaked out, like start digging into tilapia farming. Absolutely do not eat tilapia, my God. Dairy, limit dairy if you can. There are certain forms of dairy that are a little bit better, like grass-fed butter if you want. Raw cow's milk, raw organic grass-fed cow's milk is not too bad. I would only use that, and cream as well, of course. I would only use that maybe in your coffee, the butter and as a either condiment or like cooking with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't go like drinking glasses of milk and eating tons of cheese and stuff like that, or at the very least, just limit it. It has a sort of like, my experience of it anyway, and this is the most practitioners I know, it has this sort of congealing effect energetically. So energy just doesn't move as smooth. It creates a lot of mucus for a lot of people. It's an allergen for a lot of people. And it's just not necessary. I know like my parents, maybe yours, told me they were terrified when I said I was going to stop drinking milk. They were so scared. They were just like, how are you going to get, your bones are going to degenerate. I just got healthier.
Turned out okay.
What about
Yeah.
Greek yogurt? Because doesn't something about the fermenting process like limit the lactose in it or something like that?
Yeah, so fermented dairy is a little bit better. So Greek yogurt would be a slightly better option. I think, like, I've recently actually discovered coconut yogurt, and it's, again, really simple ingredients. It's like coconut cream and maybe one or two other things. I would go with that personally, but yeah, just see how you feel. It's not the worst thing. So yogurts are a little bit better. But for me personally, I've just kind of moved away from dairy entirely for the most part. A little bit of butter here and there, but yeah. Cool.
Is pasteurized dairy like the worst?
Is it the worst?
Or like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm fuzzy on the details, but I remember like Paul Check going on a rant about it.
Is it the worst of dairy?
Yeah.
I don't know what the worst is, but it's not
pretty bad.
it's not great.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a difference between cow's milk and goat milk?
Yeah. Come from different animals.
Would you say there's a health difference?
So I think initially, like, the suggestion was to drink, I don't know exactly, but my experience of having like goat products or like really any type of dairy actually was pretty much the same across the board. It wasn't that different. And again, the best option for me has been the grass-fed butter and then some forms of yogurt sometimes. And nowadays I don't really have any dairy at all except for the butter. So I don't think goat's milk would be all that much better, though I can't say for sure. Peanuts are another one. They're a really common allergen. I know it's not, like, I personally love peanuts and peanut butter, but I just don't eat them. If you notice how your body feels immediately after eating peanuts, maybe for you they're okay. For me, if I really pay attention, I notice my tongue actually feels thicker. My tongue feels like it expanded like 50%. It's not 50%, that's too much, but enough that I notice it and that it feels like harder to talk. That's an immune response, like a low grade emotional or emotional reaction, an allergic reaction or intolerance. So that, I believe, is true for many, many people, and I would guess for most of us here. So peanuts, I would stay away from soy. There's certain types of fermented soy that are okay. Tempeh is like okay. Natto is okay. But generally, like processed soy, I would stay away from entirely. It can be like estrogenic, if that's what you're...
Can't be rocking with that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's less gin, right?
There's this soy paste, I forgot what it's called.
It's probably natto.
No, it's not natto. I'll think of it. But yeah, it's a type of soy, but it's very cultured and fermented.
Yeah, there's
Miso,
some...
miso.
Miso's okay. Yeah, miso's okay.
That's just good.
Yeah, miso's okay. Again, the fermented soy is a little bit better. The obvious one, I'll stay here, everybody knows, but refined sugar. Refined sugar, there's just no bueno at all. Refined?
Like shit.
Like white sugar. Even, I mean, cane sugar, brown sugar, anything like that, anything with added sugar, just limit it. There's a little bit of sugar, like organic sugar in the chocolate that we eat, but it's 3 to 5 grams at most. Interestingly, like my first ever work project, I did this series of interviews with athletic trainers. This was,
Athletic Domination Expo.
yeah, do you remember that? Yeah, and one of the interviews was Jeff Cavalier, who at the time was doing,
That's an OG.
Stop doing this exercise.
yeah. So I'm interviewing Jeff Cavalier, and he was talking about how bad sugar is, and I brought up to him that I think I'd learned it from Paul Chek or something, that sugar actually decreases your immune strength for up to 6 hours after you ingest it. So your immune system is suppressed for, again, 6 hours just by eating sugar. And he was like, holy shit, that's even worse than I thought. Like the point is, it really does no favors for your body at all. Everybody already knows this, but a lot of the time I kind of just like, well, who cares anyway? It's worth considering. Like it causes inflammation and all kinds of crap to happen. And the last one is microwaves.
I've been heating up in the oven lately.
Yeah,
Instead of microwave.
oven. Yeah.
Air fryer.
Taylor, what about being in a dorm where like you like the only way I can like heat stuff up is a microwave?
Find a way, bro.
I
Get like a one of those.
Yeah, air fryer. You can like.
Get one of those hot plates or like.
yeah, I don't think that's allowed. I'm not sure if that's allowed.
Yeah, it's like no, there's nothing
No,
like. Get you
Your
back.
hands enough enough cheap. No other food.
You rock with air fryers?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is going back to the sugar, but how do you feel about like monk fruit and like stevia?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are good
Gluten is okay or.
for some people.
It's too much.
Pardon?
What'd you say?
Gluten.
Gluten. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, my opinion anyway, way overblown. But also, some people do have issues with it. Even if it's a low grade issue, it's better to stay away from it. So typically, like, I don't have a huge issue with it, but I still do stay away from it because why bother? There's so many options that are really good these days that don't have gluten. So why? You know, there's no reason. Microwaves, absolutely. Especially if you're gonna use the microwave, Paul,
Yeah.
don't do it in plastic. Like
That's
if you
annoying as hell.
if you put a Tupperware in a microwave,
Cancer dish.
it's really fucking bad
No, I
news.
use glass bowls.
Okay, I mean that's marginally better, but it's still not
Damage
good.
control.
Yeah, I mean, don't they have an oven or something? Like,
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I know like just in my room, like if I'm like heating something up, like it probably have to be microwave.
there's got to be an oven or
Is it really
a
like
stove
that?
top or.
Even now, I use microwave a lot.
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, yeah.
What is the problem with microwaves? Is it the EMFs? Does it just like nuke your food basically?
Hey, you could say that. Like it nukes the cellular structure of the food, the actual fat, protein, and carbohydrate molecules. It dramatically impacts the structural integrity. Yeah, it's just no good. We good on those?
I have 2 questions. One is a quick one. What are your thoughts on like Instapats
Looks great.
and the second one is probably more of an active mind with meat eating, so I'll hold off on that one.
Okay. Minimizing, not eating, but minimizing, if you can, foods that are very strong in nature. So like very spicy stuff, chili type spice, onions, garlic, things like this, cayenne pepper. Some people like really love it, and if you really love it, you can take that as a sign that your body's more tolerant to it. Our tastes are intelligent. That is okay, but typically onions, garlic, cayenne pepper, spicy things, these are actually medicines. They're not necessarily used as foods traditionally, at least in, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda. Something like ginger or turmeric, that's okay. That's not considered super, super strong, but you can imagine, like onions make people cry as they're cutting them. You know, it's very, very strong. So they're used medicinally more so than they're used as food. So to eat them consistently, you know, if you look at Chinese medicine, garlic and onions, they'll say actually block qi and like block karma even. It's really wacky. I don't know the validity to that, but I've heard all kinds of stuff. So
Does it matter if they cooked? Like, does it kind of like decreases the?
I mean, I wouldn't eat them raw. Raw onions and garlic? Probably not, but
Right, there's raw onion pieces.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I eat that. You know, a really important point here is not to be fanatical about what you're eating. I always, always feel better when I'm playing it loose. Like, yeah, go to Chipotle, and once, I mean, I don't do it very often because there's no Chipotle in my town. I don't know why, it's crazy to me. But I would probably get Chipotle like, you know, twice a week, something. Not worrying about the guac. I'm not eating it like, oh my God, this is so terrible. There's an onion and my karma is gonna. No. What'll mess up your karma is constantly worrying. That's like fear response directly to the stomach, directly to the digestion, which is gonna mess up even the healthiest meal. So, you know, fear is the least healthy ingredient.
Is too much Chipotle a negative? I think I'm at like 4 or 5 times a week usually, just because it's like I need to like get something, and like it's probably better than like other quick options.
How does it feel?
Great.
Yeah. At your age, I don't think it's a problem. And for you specifically, but again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I need to reiterate, like, just tune into your body. Like, see, you'll know if it's a problem, as long as you're paying attention. I've done that. I went through a phase when I was living in New York, I just ate Chipotle like every day at lunch. I'd get two bowls every day at lunch. Oh, God.
That's the whole Mosey. Did he eat it every day?
Yeah, that was pre-Hormozy.
So you're the OG.
That was-
Chipotle consumer.
That was like 2014 or something. What's that?
How if onions, garlic, and cayenne pepper should be limited because they're more of a medicine? When do you use them as a medicine? Like when you're sick?
They can be used really well when you're sick. That gets a little bit complex. It can be used for digestive issues in some cases. Garlic can help, but only certain digestive issues. And then onions, for example, are good for lung issues, among other things. So yeah, it's kind of a complicated topic. That's like a whole other, not even a retreat session, but a retreat probably. You know, medicine is a very nuanced thing. Oh boy, Mace?
Thoughts on vegetable oils?
Vegetables meaning like olive oil or canola oil and
Like
stuff like that.
canola, seed oils, kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with that.
That started to get pretty popular lately.
Yeah,
Seen that
stuff
stuff?
too.
Red 42.
Yeah.
What's getting popular?
Vegetable oils being bad.
Is that just getting popular now?
Yeah,
I thought that
it's
was common knowledge.
It's just like finally blew up though.
Canola.
Like mainstream, mostly canola oil, seed oils, stuff like that.
Oh man, Paul Chek is such an OG. It's like in How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy since like whenever he wrote that thing, 1990 or something. He called it con oil. Yeah, don't eat it. And if you're cooking, cook with oils that have a high smoke point, so not olive oil. It can destructure the fat in olive oil to cook with it at a high heat. So cook coconut oil, red palm oil is another option, ghee is another option, even a little bit of like grass-fed butter sometimes is okay. Others, Kyle, that I'm not thinking of?
Avocado is another common one.
To cook with?
Yeah, I've never personally used it, but it's said to have the highest smoke point, even higher than coconut oil.
Really?
Yeah, but like I said, I've never personally used it, so
Okay.
I can't say for most people.
It stinks
Okay.
so bad.
It stinks,
It
does it?
Sticks, like eggs don't
Oh,
work
stick.
on avocado oil for me.
Coconut oil is a good one, honestly. All things being equal, unless you have a problem with coconut in your body, some people do. It's pretty reliable for cooking, and it's not expensive these days. Ghee is good as well, which is clarified butter. It's butter without the lactose. Yeah.
What do you think
Anything on
about
that?
Beef tallow.
Oh,
Beef tallow.
Yeah.
Is that like a Liver King thing?
No, I mean, yeah, probably. They say that a lot on the social media. They're like, get rid of seed oils, cook with beef tallow, because it's like higher in saturated fat.
I mean, beef tallow, I think Paul's been talking about that, like duck fats, things like this. I don't personally, because I don't really, I'm not against it per se, but for me personally, I don't eat cows or red meat ever these days. I would, I guess, in the right situation if my body felt like it, but I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Something for me just doesn't feel quite right about that. Like really heavy doses of saturated fat, still to me, a certain amount for sure is healthy, but beyond a certain point, like if you're loading up on beef tallow and things like this, red flags go off intuitively for me. Again, just my opinion, but.
I'm interested in like personally studying like TCM and particularly like the organs that are associated with sugar and emotions. Do you have any books that you would recommend for that?
Rather than books, I would just Google it.
Okay.
If you Google, there would be TCM charts with like organs and their correlations and their the elements, even 5 elements in Chinese medicine. 5-element theory is very powerful. I think Bruce might have a course on that. Montauk Chia would be a place to look. But it's really, I mean, if you want to study it, then I would go take a course. If you just want to kind of geek out for a moment, just Google. Yeah. Minimize cold foods in most cases, like really cold things. So water that, like iced water, for example, things that are chilled, raw, uncooked things like cold stuff. This gets into intuitive eating a little bit because there are times and places where those things can be quite nourishing depending on the climate that you're in. So if you're in a really hot, like tropical climate, for example, cold things can regulate the body. But for most of us, especially in the Western world, in most cases, at least lightly cooking your food is a really good idea. It's sort of like a pre-digestive mechanism.
What about like freezing your food or eating like frozen vegetables?
Yeah, I personally don't do that. Like I literally don't even drink cold water. I'll drink warm water. And I noticed just this week I was drinking cold water and my digestion is almost always perfect, like no issues at all. And I've had not bad, like just minor discomfort. Switched back to warm water and I felt better. Even when I make smoothies, I think you guys saw me doing this. You're like, what are you doing? I was putting frozen blueberries, and I do this every day. I'll put frozen blueberries in a little pot with coconut water, whatever else I'm mixing in, and I'll heat it up just until it's like lukewarm. So I won't even do a frozen smoothie. That for me has been wildly helpful digestion-wise. And again, I've had digestive issues off and on in my earlier years, and I've cleared pretty much all of it. Like I have no complaints at all at this point. And a big turning point for me was cutting out cold, raw stuff. Cool. Another one. So chemicals in hygiene products, especially if you're doing spiritual work, fluoride.
Gotta get that non-fluoridated toothpaste.
Dude,
Connie's right.
I had like a feeling that like I shouldn't get it, and then I just was like, all right.
Trust that, man. That's good intuition. Yeah. No, especially fluoride. They're finding I mean, this touches into like fuzzy science, and I don't love doing that, but I will say it is my strong opinion that fluoride actually, fluoride, how should I put it? I'll just say it blocks the pineal gland and what's called the third eye. I don't want to get too fancy with that.
That's one thing the spiritual YouTubers been right about.
Yeah.
Those dudes. I've been seeing that since like early high school. They were like, look, man, your third eye right here, stop using fluoride. They're like, it's blocking your third eye.
I mean, most people's third eye is totally blocked anyway, but the fluoride's certainly not helping. Chemicals in your shampoo and your soap. Dr. Bronner's is a really good company for soap. Jason does good toothpaste I use. For me, and this might like freak a lot of people out, I'll just say it anyway. I personally don't really use soap or shampoo, and all I use is an unscented deodorant, and that's it. And I've been that way for years and years. I haven't gotten any complaints yet, and I like smell myself and I'm good. And I think a lot of that comes from just like getting cleaner internally, and less is needed. And my hair, I was like really freaking out in, I think it must have been like early 2015, late 2014, because I started noticing I was kind of like losing hair up top for the first time ever. And that just like, it just spun me out for a few months. And I stopped using shampoo, not for that reason, but just intuitively. I just felt like, oh, I don't need to or don't. And my hair like completely stopped coming out. So I don't know if that's correlated or connected, and my hairdresser continues to tell me that I need to use shampoo or else I'm gonna lose my hair, but it's been the opposite for me. And I just feel like it's just not only like it's stripping a lot of the natural oils from your hair and from your scalp, it's also often full of a whole bunch of crap that we don't understand, and you're putting it on your head and it's absorbing through the skin on your head, like next to your brain. Yeah, something about that just doesn't feel right to me. And so that's what I've landed on, is like water and unscented deodorant. And I feel like perfectly fine with that. Not that you have to do that, just monitor the Dr. Bronner's soap again, good one. Shampoo, I'm not really sure. I think you guys have Native, right?
Native and Dr. Squatch are all clean about
Dr.
stuff.
Squad.
Dr. Squatch just has
Yeah.
I load y'all up with the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like paraben free and stuff, all that jazz.
What do you do about fluoride with your dentist?
Yeah, that's what they got me, bro.
They take out the
Matrix.
Oh, like when you're there.
Like you always have like the fluoride paste they do. You need to chew like raspberry mint.
I mean, you could just tell them you don't want to do that, or just don't sweat it because it's one time. It's not great, but it's not going to kill you.
Every 6 months.
Yeah.
So one fluoride trip at the dentist doesn't reverse all spiritual work.
No.
They're right side, bro.
You're going straight down the stage right next time. You
Stop you from saying that because you have too much fluoride. You don't have to do that, just do it.
Do you use dentist?
Used to. I haven't in a long, long time. Like, I'm not even sure how long it's been. Yeah.
Free dental care is coming to Canada, so.
It wasn't the cost. So we'll get into what to eat. We're talking about what not to eat, what to eat, a protein, a fat, and a carb with every meal. Ideally, a vegetable as well. If your carb or fat are a vegetable, like for example, avocado, I know that's technically a fruit, but I treat it sort of as a vegetable. Like one of my favorite little simple meals to have is chicken, sweet potato, and avocado. And so you wouldn't need to add a vegetable if you didn't want one, you could. That's like a simple, easily digestible meal. Tastes good even though it's simple. And the sweet potato is sort of a vegetable. The avocado, again, is sort of a vegetable, but you're covering all the bases. So you could do it that way, or if you're having, say, like white rice, basmati, jasmine rice, not basmati.
Not
No, I meant to say jasmine.
basmati?
Jasmine
I was
would
gonna
be.
say, like, don't eat basmati rice.
Basmati's okay. Typically, I think jasmine rice in general is more easily digestible, but basmati could be okay. Yeah, sweet potatoes, white potatoes are okay. Just notice your blood sugar reaction with the white rice as well. On the carbohydrate side, like quinoa could be okay. Others, Kyle?
So let's see, you said sweet potato, winter squash is a very good one, oats are a very good one.
Just keep in mind, like oats, just notice your body reaction to that.
And also if you like have sprouted rice or sprouted oats, that helps with your digestion as well, by breaking down a lot of the fibers, as well as in beans. Sprouted beans and sprouted lentils are good. There are other grains that are good for people. Corn is another good one for most people.
Buckwheat is good as well.
Buckwheat.
Buckwheat is like actually my favorite grain personally. It's a cereal grain. It's not it's not a wheat actually, but if you soak it overnight and then do it in an Instant Pot, you can mix it with like blueberries, walnuts, stuff like this. It's like a porridge sort of thing. So buckwheat could work. The basics honestly for me, like sweet potato, maybe some white potato sometimes. I'll like cut them into fries and do them in coconut oil in the oven. So they're like sort of French fries. They are French fries really, just not the fast food type. And white rice. That's kind of it.
This is going to be controversial, but I'm trying to take the yellow perspective here. I've been seeing stuff on social media, okay? And it's not only like the Liver King heads, right? It's people who seem more
Oh, vegetables are,
Yeah.
yeah.
The vegetables are bad, and I've seen stuff specifically saying that, like, for example, some vegetables are very high in oxalates, which have been
Kale.
linked to like creating kidney stones because they like calcify calcium in your body or something, and then other ones are high in phytic acid, which I forget what they say about that, but is bad in some way.
Yeah, they call them anti-nutrients.
Yeah.
And so they claim that we can't break them down, and so fruits and vegetables are just like basically useless and
They like
cause an
fruits,
immune
like
response.
vegetables, that's
They
correct.
like,
They like fruits.
this is like carnivore MD.
Yeah.
Have you ever followed the carnivore diet or like spoken to people that follow the carnivore diet? You've done it, or you've,
Our dad did it for once, for like 6 months.
how did he feel?
High blood pressure after 6 months, and I had to quit.
He lost a ton of weight though. But
So for people with Crohn's disease, that's really effective. Like Jordan Peterson falls into that camp. It's a treatment. It's not a lifestyle, in my opinion. It's maybe a lifestyle for a small percentage of the population. Like they might be able to thrive on that, but I don't know how big that population is. And really, really beware of any extremist view in anything. That's a big red flag, because most of the time it's somebody trying to get popular. Or it's somebody that's just polarized and emotionally reactive for their own reasons. Like if you look at Carnivore MD, look in his eyes. Like look in that guy's eyes on video. Just do that and see.
I'm not saying I believe in
No,
it.
I get that. Yeah, yeah.
The perspective, trying to
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, assuming everybody here is down for like eating semi-normal, like vegetables, fruits are okay. Maybe limit the fruits or notice how your insulin, blood sugar responds to it. Any questions so far? Yeah.
I have a question that I think about. Is like dealing with like difficult emotion related to like appetite?
Could
I've
be.
noticed like when difficult emotion comes up in my diaphragm, I'll usually eat like 3 meals a day, like 2 protein shakes. I'll be like 9 o'clock at night and I'll realize I've eaten like 1 small meal. And I feel like the need, now I gotta like play catch up or like, eat when I'm like, I can't even like eat. So like, I don't know, like that's the best way. Cause then I feel like kind of malnourished if I like don't. but I'm also like just can't like eat, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, don't fight against nature. Like, don't force feed yourself at any point, and also don't starve yourself. So when you naturally become, I'm not saying only eat when you're hungry, but eat when you come to a natural point of emptiness and you feel like eating. And emotions can really throw that off, and it's good to continue eating what you can and remind yourself to, but don't force feed by any means. Don't try to stick to a rigid schedule if your body's giving you a different signal. 'Cause if there's a lot of emotional turmoil, like your energy is being allocated elsewhere other than digestion.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as proteins go, white meat, chicken, turkey, there are others, but they're more rare. Chicken, turkey, I like duck eggs from time to time. I think they're typically better than chicken eggs for most people in terms of like immune response, allergic reaction, not allergic reaction, but intolerance. You can do a little bit of like grass-fed beef if you want to. If that feels good for your body, feel free. For me, I just haven't, like no part of me has felt drawn to it. If you're doing like spiritual cultivation strictly, then once a month is typically, maybe once every 3, even 2 weeks in some cases, but generally like food gets lighter when that's your goal. So chicken, some fish, white fish, salmon, things like this, trout.
Do you do spiritual cultivation if you have too much of it?
What does it do?
Like, why the restriction of it once a month?
It's just much heavier energy, and it's also blood energy. It gets a little bit more complicated than I want to go into here. But yeah, it's a weighty, heavier energy. In some cases for spiritual cultivation, like if you're building constitutional Jing and you're really deficient, red meat can help fortify that, but it's not like red meat every day. It's more red meat as a medicine. Lamb is another one. Lamb in Chinese medicine is used as a tonic, so that can fortify the body, but again, it's heavier. It's more like a medicinal food. I'm not saying it's a medicinal food, but it's like that. Yeah.
What about raw fish and like sushi and stuff like that?
I personally don't. Yeah, I don't. Are we clear on like what to eat, what not to eat, pretty much? Any other questions?
Just have a question for me. I got like 1 crock pot chicken, sweet potato, and carrots down, and then like I eat that for lunch, and then it's like, all right, dinner I can maybe like ground turkey something. I kind of just get bored, and so I'm like, all right, I need some variety. I don't have the Sean skills yet.
Go to the 4-day athlete meal plan on Fellowship Fitness LLC. Give you a free meal plan for 4 days and get you on my email list. And it teaches you exactly what to do and how to make it nice and easy that a 5th grader can do it.
Yeah.
Bam.
Colton's in like 3rd or 4th grade though.
So, any advice?
Yeah, just cook more variety. You want variety, right?
Yeah, I mean like, yeah, more variety. For
Yeah,
sure.
cook more variety.
Like, what's your lunch and then dinner?
So for dinner, typically it's like fish or chicken, or maybe that ground turkey and pasta with either sweet potato, white potato, sometimes white rice. And then usually it's like mushrooms and peppers, or maybe asparagus or spinach or cooked spinach, something like that. All of it's cooked again. Usually avocado as well with it for a fat source. I cook the fish and the meat, if I have it, in coconut oil typically. So it rotates between those things and mixes and matches between those things. Sometimes it's duck eggs as well. I'll get once in a while, like, I can't remember the brand name, but there's a relatively healthy gluten-free pancake mix that's really good.
Oh, is it
So
the one that has like paleo on it? There's like
Yeah.
a person. I think I know what you're talking
it's maybe like Bob's Paleo.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
about.
I used to make Kodak or Kodiak.
No, not quite.
You seen those?
I have
I think
seen
the one is gluten in it.
That's it.
I think so.
Yeah, well, there's a healthier pancake mix that would be a good variety, like once, twice a week. And I'll do pancakes with, I'll put frozen berries, mixed berries in the oven, so they warm up and they become like I don't know, like warm berries. And I'll do those on top of the pancakes with coconut yogurt and duck eggs scrambled on the side. So that's like kind of a variety meal. The quinoa penne with ground turkey and the Paleo Kitchen marinara sauce, really good.
It's a quinoa what?
Quinoa penne pasta. Yeah, it's pretty much like just mixing and matching those foods. So you can kind of go a lot of different directions with it. And I would honestly just get creative with it and experiment, and then find the few meals that you really like. Is there like a specific type of meal you need instruction on, or like ideas on?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I used to get HelloFresh, so it taught me a good amount.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
I think you should go and make it all.
You guys have like aubergine and what's it called, vessel, stuff like this. Like, yeah, I would be ordering from that all the time. I'd probably order like once a day personally, for lunch at least. Yeah, I'd be doing that. That's how I'd get lunch. I think so.
What is it?
No, it's in Chipotle.
What?
Aubergine?
Have you had Cafe Rio?
Don't know.
That would not be true.
Sweet potato, I would say.
Sweet pork.
Cafe Ria?
It's like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
other night when we were there.
Have you had it?
Yeah, we did. Ryan
Got
Daniel
the
asked us today that we were there.
Or sweet pork is
Sweet pork?
What is that? Sweet pork. Wait, sweet pork?
This is pre-enlightened me.
Breakfast is on.
Pre-turquoise.
Nah, this is recent. Really messed up. I did bad.
So
One question. So, realistically, I don't think I can afford this diet. Do you have like a budget model, or like how much should we sacrifice in terms of like trying to eat this way, or versus just like getting food? Period. That's a good question.
well, you can get pretty simple healthy foods in bulk, like rice, potatoes are pretty cheap generally. If you can't do organic, then just wash the food. You can get, it depends on where you buy them from, but places like, I don't know if you have this, Costco or big chain models like this, they actually have really good sourcing for produce and for their food. So it's usually really high quality actually. There was a woman in this health food chain in San Diego who said that she, who manages that health food chain, actually gets her produce from Costco because it's better, she said. So you could do that, and then you could get meat in bulk, or you could get meat even from a farmer locally and just freeze it. So it does take a little bit of creativity, but you can certainly do it for sure on a budget. Yeah.
So freezing, buying in bulk at Costco, and it's like cheaper options, I guess.
Yeah, I would look at Costco and just buying things like that way, really. And rice, potatoes, stick with just cheaper options. Yeah, you can use like olive oil is relatively cheap, and you get a lot for what you pay for like a fat source. Instead of buying avocados, which might be more expensive, just use like olive oil in your food. Yeah, you got options for sure. You can do it. Hey, it's Taylor. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. And if you did, the best thing to do right now while it's fresh in your mind is head over to deepgame.com and join us in our free masterclass where you'll learn all of the fundamental principles of the part of basketball that's played with the mind. We've had players call this the best hour of basketball learning of their lives, and it's completely free right now. So head over to deepgame.com, join us. Once again, it's totally free, and I will see you there.